Hey guys, and welcome back to PXH, also known as PureXHeart. And guys, wow, we are back with what again? PXH. I'm so sorry that I have not been posting that much lately. I've actually just moved into a new place. Setup is, a little bit different, as you can tell. It will actually honestly change as time rolls on, and with this new setup, there's different avenues that we can actually set up with the new place that I'm at. It's actually really exciting that I can't wait for you guys to check out more videos in the future as we keep on posting them. You guys definitely want to keep on to here on PXH. So with that, if you're new here or a return visitor and you haven't yet subscribed, then maybe hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out the future that is PXH. There is a whole bunch of updates that is coming. And also check out our TeeSpring store. Really helpful. There's going to be some really amazing stuff. A really great shirt just launched last month. And can't wait for the stuff that is going to launch this month, as we do launch new things every single month on that store. But with that, let's obviously get into it. My Life is a Beautiful Mess is the latest release from the hip-hop artist hailing from Miami, Florida, Aklesso. I hope that is correct pronunciation of his name. He is actually a really interesting artist. He actually started music whenever his father abandoned him into whenever he was a child, and so that music has really stirred up upon him. And so guess what, here he is with his first debut album. We are just with debut albums here in 2020. It's a new year, new decade. Come on, let's get these new artists rolling. But my actually first introduction with Aklesso was a Gavi album. It actually has been almost all Gavi albums ever since, I want to say Like Where We Belong, if I'm not mistaken, his 2015 album that was released. And he's also on his latest release of Gavi's Heathen album. Obviously, he collaborates with other hip-hop artists, but Gavi is really the main one that he does collaborate a lot with, and this album is definitely no different. He's actually on to, in my opinion, probably one of the best songs off this, not appropriate title for of the best song of this, which is called Worst Year, which, getting into the album is, again, one of my favorite songs off this album, just because of how 2020 is just, then it's actually a great song to wrap up for 2020, and it gives actually a really nice hope for the next year, and actually for this year of just ending, where it's just like, hey, what I've known now is different from what I know basically the past year. Okay, it's a lot of growth for just not only Aklesso, not only for Gavi, but I know for a lot of other people, it's also been a really growth year for me in my life. It's been a growth year for PXH as a brand, and as reaching out to people. It's actually been a really impactful year. So if you guys grew in 2020, then put a comment down, if you actually grew, or like this video if you grew in 2020, rather than it just being this awful year. This actually year has been a very interesting one for me personally, and so I'm actually very excited that Aklesso and Gavi both collaborated on that really great song. But to start off this album actually started off with a very great song, just okay, so this is how we're gonna go into this album, which is a almost like a start of a hymn of Give Me Jesus. And it's honestly fantastic. I really do enjoy it. And then it goes into Aklesso's rapping, and with a lot of this music, I do have to say, a lot of different varieties of hip-hop that I actually really do enjoy. It's not just all one solid bland thing where he goes heavily into music and not heavily into his voice. He actually has a really fantastic song on here. Again, another one of my favorite songs. It's called Wilderness, and it really highlights Aklesso's voice, and it's almost like a worship hip-hop song. and it's kind of fantastic, where it's not really relying a lot on the rap. It's relying a lot on his singing voice and just maybe a little bit of music. It's almost very a cappella in that sense, and it's not even like Aklesso doesn't have like, you know, like the best singing voice. His voice is kind of raspy in that sense, but it makes that song perfect in the sense that you can feel that, you know, this is coming from like a deeper understanding of him as a person, because literally before was the interlude, which I'm not going to spoil because that's actually something that you guys should listen to, and plus because I cannot remember what exactly it said, but it revolves around, you know, Aklesso basically wanting to be the best, and, you know, people relying on him, but, you know, him sometimes failing, and, you know, it's like, what do I do in that aspect of life? And I think a lot of people have actually dealt with that, you know, where a lot of people have really depending on you and you have failed them as a person, you know, like in people's minds, like, what does that say to me as a person? And Aklesso like has a fantastic song which is called Wilderness, which explains just like, it's not by my perfect thing of the way that I am as a person. It's just the way that God has it as a perfect piece, and of how much we need God. Basically, as simple as that can be, it's basically of how much we need God. And obviously, you know, it has, you know, your regular hip-hop stuff with, be like, hey, my boys, my homies, with woolies, which is actually the Miami word for homies and friends. It's actually really cool. You know, you get to learn a lot about Aklesso's life within a lot of this album, and you know, like this is what I mean by, you know, this is a perfect album for, this is a Christian album, but this is also a album made by a Christian artist. It really perfectly blends in the two aspects of what is a Christian album and what should we classify as a Christian album. I really think that this album could be a baseline for that, because a lot of these songs really deals with a lot of his personal life and, you know, what God has gone out of him, and it's perfect for a Christian album because God is really the underline for this entire album. Yeah, God has a lot to say in for this album. Not really praising to God, but with his life, he is also praising God. So if this is out, really maybe one of those albums that could be an album that is done by a Christian artist, but I really think that it's actually almost classifies as a Christian album. It's honestly not an album that I will go back to, but it is an album that is definitely recommended. So I guess I'm gonna say that you guys should add a few songs to your playlist for this album. Maybe, you know, even if I'm very generous, you know, if you guys really like this album, then maybe you guys should buy it, download it, whatever you guys have to do, get this album. So it really lies in between those two categories, just because I really do enjoy a lot of these songs. However, for me, I'm not really a huge hip-hop fan, and there was better hip-hop albums, but I really do enjoy the message for this album, which is basically saying about his life, and basically that is the underline for this album, where it goes, my life is a beautiful mess, and the music is very different, and so basically that's part of the mess, but it's still beautiful sounding. Oh, with that, if you guys would leave a like onto this video, and also comment down below what you guys thought about this album, and also what you guys want me to review, whether it be in the past, future, present. You guys know what to do. Put it down in those comments and I will get to it. Remember, it can be music, movies, topics, whatever, etc. Put it down in those comments, and of course I will get to it. If you're new here or a return visitor and you haven't yet subscribed, then what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out this channel. And with that, make sure you go all over Jesus and change the culture. Boom. Bye.